it's Kristen, and I am back with a podcast today. There's been so much happening in the world right now, and things are just insane on a global scale. And I've avoided making podcasts like these for quite a while because I've just been trying to soak in everything that's happening, absorb as much information as I can, educate myself on everything that's happening as well, and then speak, because I understood that a lot of things that I can say can be taken out of context, misunderstood, and I really don't want that to happen. So yeah, I am gonna ease into all the topics that I want to discuss in various different podcasts by starting with something that's, I guess, a little bit lighter than everything else, which is the question: is it time to start eating the rich? Very light topic. Starting off with just a slight hint of cannibalism before we move into videos that are heavier than this. Obviously, I'm not talking about eating the rich literally. I just want to talk a little bit about a few articles that I started reading about celebrity culture during this time when everyone is in lockdown. Something that I've been observing happening online is that more people are sort of starting to become a little bit more aware of how the 1% lives, how privileged they are, and in that 1%, I do include celebrities. Most of them do belong in the 1%, and most of them are way more accessible to the public than those that are at the top 1%. And I want to discuss a little bit about that because I do think it's quite fascinating that people are finally waking up to the inequality that exists between the 1% and the other 99%. They're kind of starting to wake up to their own oppression and starting to finally become angry about it, because I do think that we should be angry at the fact that there's a top 1% that right now all of these austere measures when it comes to the quarantine aren't really touching them, aren't really impacting them, and yet they're still on social media complaining about how hard it is to be closed up in your mega mansion for like a few weeks. So I think it's gonna be fun to get into all of this a little bit, read a few articles, go over some things that I found online that I found interesting. One of the first people that I want to talk about is Ellen DeGeneres, and I'm living for the hate that she's getting. So Ellen DeGeneres is one of the first people that is being targeted with the pitchforks and the torches. What I'm starting to observe is that, just like with the revolution in France, where the lower 99% started kind of revolting against the bourgeoisie, and they basically executed most of them. What is happening during that time is people were getting very frustrated with the inequality that existed, with how that 1% got to live in their chateaus while the others suffered and had to sell their hair and their teeth to get by. I saw that in Les Miserables, and I was shook that that was like a real thing. I didn't know about it. People legitimately sold their teeth in order to have enough money to buy next day's meal. And we are maybe not in a situation like that right now, but a lot of people are in a place where they don't know how they're going to afford next month's rent. A lot of people are losing their jobs. A lot of people are just closed up in these tiny houses with roommates that could be, unbearable, or in marriages that could be unbearable, or even violent. Domestic violence is on the rise, on an extreme rise right now. And everything that's happening right now is really shedding a light on everything that is messed up in this world. And on one hand, it's obviously terrible that all of this had to happen through a pandemic. On the other hand, maybe this is an opportunity for us to make things right, to wake up to everything that's happening and start making it better. Although, I'm gonna be honest, I really don't think that's what's gonna happen. And I'm becoming more and more pessimistic day by day, but you shouldn't be. Don't listen to me. You should maintain your optimism and just keep being happy on your fantasy land. So yeah, let's get into the Ellen DeGeneres stuff. She kind of equated being in quarantine to being like being in jail, which made the internet furious. It was kind of made as a joke, obviously, but I think the offensive thing about it for most people was the fact that she couldn't comprehend how, if this joke was made by someone that was not living in a, wait a minute, let me check, a $27 million home, if this joke was made by someone living in like a basement, I would accept that joke, and I feel like most people would. But when it's made by someone that has like an infinity pool, you know, this person is not really allowed to complain even for a second. But for people like celebrities that are living in these massive homes, these luxurious homes with pools and cinemas and like every form of entertainment, like they have a different room for it, and yet dare to come out and complain of how things are hard for them, and how, like, I saw another interview with Kim Kardashian being like, oh my god, it's so hard to take care of the kids, this is like crazy, because this is probably the first time she's ever had to spend time with her kids. And I'd be really surprised if these mega celebrities don't also have like staff in their homes breaking the quarantine and working for them and cleaning for them and cooking for them and taking care of their kids for them. I cannot fathom that these celebrities are capable of maintaining their houses clean on their own, of cooking their own food, and even like, I don't know. I just don't see that as possible, and it kind of frustrates me that all it takes to be above the law is to just have money. And it shouldn't be like that. But again, this is putting a spotlight on so many things that are a huge problem in our world right now. And maybe more and more people are going to start getting mad at the fact that people like Ellen DeGeneres or Kim Kardashian or like any other celebrity out there has the ability to accumulate this much wealth. And hopefully people start noticing that these aren't the only wealthy people out there. There's actually people in that 1% that are like way richer than the people that we're going after. People like Jeff Bezos, for example. I am so happy that more and more people are becoming more aware of the way that Amazon operates, the risk that they're putting their workers in right now by making them work in order to ship off very much non-essential items. And I'm hoping that people are going to start waking up to this and understanding that, like, this is a situation that we should all be in, and being rich should not excuse you from suffering along with all of us. Or perhaps, even better, understanding that these people in the top 1% have the ability to make all of this go away, and yet they choose not to. And by that I mean, if we had a medical system, a healthcare system that could possibly support a pandemic, which is something that 4 years ago, I think almost 5 years ago, Bill Gates made his TED Talk where he was discussing about how we are not at all prepared for a pandemic. If we had started 4 years ago taxing the rich, taxing corporations, which, in case you didn't know, corporations as big as like Amazon, they don't even pay taxes. If we're lucky, they get to pay like a 2% tax. And if these corporations, if these multi-billionaires were being taxed just like the rest of us are, then possibly we wouldn't be in this mess in the first place. And also, instead of pouring all these trillions that collectively every country on earth is pouring into war, into equipping itself with weapons, we've thrown so much money into defending ourselves from each other, and no one ever thought about perhaps maybe we should preparing for a different kind of threat. I'm not a fortune teller, for sure, so nobody can really tell what the world is going to look like, but let me just say that when I made my video about 2050, like my morning routine in 2050, I wasn't just coming up with a morning routine out of my imagination. It was based on a lot of things that I've read and a lot of things that I've learned. And, that was a scenario about 2050 that video really is so close to what this situation right now looks like. I didn't expect a pandemic to hit the very next year after me making that video, but I'm very concerned. And if you're not paying attention to what's going on. I'm just going to leave it at that because we're talking about celebrity culture right now. So I need to tone down my dramaticness and let's keep talking about Ellen and her privilege. No, I'm not going to talk about Ellen anymore. We discussed her enough. But another thing I found fascinating was like the whole Imagine song where all the celebrities were singing it. A friend of mine shared it on Instagram, like, oh my god, this is so moving. And I clicked to watch the video on Instagram and I was like, this is cringy. And at the time when I first watched it, I wasn't sure like why this video was making me kind of ick. It gave me the ick and I didn't know why. And apparently it gave the ick to a lot of other people. In case you haven't seen that video, it's a video on Instagram where like a bunch of celebrities sing Imagine by the Beatles. I found a few memes about it, which I think are gonna express my feelings a lot better than my words will. So one of them is, hey celebs, we don't want to be sung to. We want you to use $1 million or $2 million of your money and order ventilators, masks, and gloves from the manufacturers, then donate them to a hospital. Or pay for the salaries of an entire staff at a bar, restaurant, or a daycare. Kind of agree with that, but also I kind of wish more that our governments were taxing the top 1% and also taxing corporations instead of us having to just hope that people donate in order for people to not die. If you're upset about regular folk hoarding toilet paper, wait till you hear about how a tiny percentage of rich people have hoarded most of the world's wealth. Well said. Another one, under capitalism, it's normal to let children go hungry, let banks force people out of their homes, let sick people die for lack of access to health care, but the idea that billionaires could just be less rich, not poor, not struggling, just less rich, is considered insane. Also, Diet Prada made this post about this article shared on the New York Times called Celebrity Culture is Burning. I'm gonna read that article to you because I thought it was very interesting. So the article is by Amanda Hess and it is on the New York Times. America is in crisis, but the celebrities are thriving. They are beaming into our homes, reminding us to stay indoors and stay positive, as we're all in this together. Staying home is my superpower, the Wonder Woman star Gal Gadot reported from her walk-in closet. Ryan Reynolds urged his fans to work together to flatten the curve from within his rustic loft. When Jennifer Lopez posted a video of her family sheltering in the backyard of Alex Rodriguez's vast Miami compound, the public snapped. "We all hate you," was one representative response. Ooh. Among the social impacts of the coronavirus is its swift dismantling of the cult of celebrity. The famous are ambassadors of the meritocracy. They represent the American pursuit of wealth through talent, charm, and hard work. But the dream of class mobility dissipates when society locks down. The economy stalls, the death count mounts, and everyone's future is frozen inside their own crowded apartment or palatial mansion. The difference between the two has never been more obvious. The Guillotine 2020 hashtag is jumping. As grocery aisles turn bare, some have suggested that perhaps they ought to eat the rich. So yeah, that was an interesting article. I like sort of mixing pop culture with getting educated politically, and I think it's a very good and effective way to introduce the public also to understanding more about the inequality that is happening and that has always happened, and how we need to start becoming more aware about it and more angry about it, and hopefully less inclined to follow celebrities and be enthralled by them and be controlled by them also through all the paid advertisements that they do and the product promotions that they constantly do, because it seems like making money simply from movies or songs or TV shows is not enough for them. They also want to make money by smacking their faces on products that are tested on animals, on products that are made in sweatshops. It seems like no amount of money is enough for them either. And the more we become aware of that, and the more we start unfollowing these celebrities and stop letting them control us and letting them make us feel like we need to achieve what they have, the better it is for us and for our mental health and for our pockets as well. So let me know what you thought of this video in the comments. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Always, share your opinion in a polite way. And yeah, also make sure to like this video, subscribe for more videos like this, and if you want to help me make more videos like it, consider supporting me on Patreon. Another thing is, like, if anyone has any suggestions for a podcast microphone, please help me out. I hate this microphone so much. And I've been trying to toy with the settings here to make the audio tolerable, and I just haven't been able to do that. So please, if you have any good podcast microphone suggestions, I mean, I don't care about the budget at this point. Just help me out. Okay, that's it. Thank you so much for watching, and I'm gonna see you guys soon. Bye.